The sound of a Ducati engine revving usually made my heart skip a beat in a good way. It used to mean he was here. It used to mean safety. But tonight that roar sounded like a beast tearing my chest open. The rain was pouring down in sheets so heavy it hurt my skin, but I didn't move. I couldn't. I just stood there on the cracked pavement outside Club Onyx, clutching the hem of my trench coat so hard my knuckles turned gray. The black exhaust smoke hit my face as the convoy of 20 motorcycles sped away, disappearing into the neon-lit darkness of Seoul. He didn't look back. Not once. Kang-Dae, the man who had whispered promises into my skin every night for 2 years, had just looked right through me like I was a stranger. No, worse than a stranger. Like I was trash. I looked down at my hand. The plastic stick was still there, hidden in my pocket, burning my palm. 2 pink lines. I was pregnant. I had come here to tell him. I had practiced the words in the mirror 100 times. Dae, we're going to be a family. I thought he would smile, that rare, soft smile he only saved for me. Instead, I watched him walk out with her. Zoe, the heiress. The woman his father wanted him to marry. She was draped over him like a silk scarf and he let her. He held her waist. He wore the leather jacket I patched up for him. And when our eyes met across the security line, his eyes were dead. Cold. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run after the bikes and demand an answer. But my feet were glued to the floor. I felt a sharp cramp in my stomach, stress tightening my body. I took a deep, shaky breath. No, I whispered to the rain. I won't beg. If he could throw me away that easily, if he could choose his billionaire family and his arranged wife over what we had, then he didn't deserve to know. He didn't deserve this baby. Before I tell you what I did next, if you've ever had your heart broken by someone you trusted with your life, go ahead and like this video right now. And make sure you subscribe, because the revenge I got 5 years later, you're going to want to hear this. I didn't go back to our apartment. I couldn't bear to see his toothbrush next to mine or the unfinished painting I was making of him. I went to the bus terminal. I bought a ticket for the furthest place I could afford. A small coastal town called Jinhee. I turned my phone off. I threw my SIM card into a trash can. As the bus pulled away from Seoul, I touched my stomach. It's just us now, I promised. Just us. I cried silently the whole way, until my eyes were so swollen I couldn't see the city lights fading behind me. I was terrified. I was a black woman in a foreign country, alone, pregnant, and running from the most dangerous biker gang in Korea. But I had to survive. For the baby. 5 years. That's how long it took for the ghosts to catch up. 5 years later, life was hard, but it was peaceful. I wasn't Zayla the art student anymore. I was Zayla the baker. I ran a tiny shop near the ocean called Seoul Sweets, mixing American soul food desserts with Korean pastries. It barely made money, but it kept a roof over our heads. And I wasn't alone. I had them. Leo. Luna. Stop running in the kitchen. I yelled, wiping flour off my forehead. 2 little tornadoes ran past me, giggling. My twins. They were 4 years old and they were the most beautiful things I had ever seen. Leo had my dark skin and his father's sharp, intense eyes. Luna was lighter, with a head full of wild curls and Kang-Dae's stubborn pout. They were Afro-Korean perfection. And they were a secret. Nobody in Seoul knew they existed. Especially not him. Mommy, tell Leo to give me back my robot. Luna whined, tugging on my apron. It's my robot. I built it. Leo argued. I sighed, kneeling down to hug them both. You share, or I eat all the cookies myself. They both gasped. No. I laughed, kissing their foreheads. This was my life. It was small. It was quiet. And it was safe. Or so I thought. The bell above the bakery door jingled. But it wasn't the soft jingle of a customer. It was the aggressive slam of the door being kicked open. The air in the shop changed instantly. I stood up, pushing the twins behind me instinctively. 3 men walked in. They weren't buying cookies. They wore cheap suits that were too tight, and they smelled like stale cigarettes in trouble. Local loan sharks. Business looks slow, Zayla, the leader said, stepping on a freshly dropped cookie with his muddy shoe. He was a greasy man named Mr. Choi. I paid you last week. I said, my voice trembling just a little. I don't have anything else until the weekend. Choi laughed, picking up a tray of muffins and dumping them on the floor. Interest rates went up. You know how it is. Foreigners have to pay extra tax for protection. I don't need your protection, I snapped. Please just leave. My children are here. Choi looked at the twins peeking out from behind my legs. His eyes narrowed. Cute kids. Mixed, huh? Maybe if you can't pay with cash, we can take one of them as collateral until. Don't you dare look at them. I screamed, grabbing a rolling pin from the counter. My heart was hammering in my throat like a trapped bird. Get out. Choi's face turned ugly. He signaled the other two men. Grab the girl. No. I lunged forward, swinging the rolling pin. I hit one guy in the shoulder, but the other one shoved me hard. I flew back, hitting the display case. Glass shattered. I felt a sharp pain in my arm, but I scrambled up. Run, Leo. Take Luna and run to the back. Mommy. Luna was crying. Choi grabbed my wrist, twisting it painfully. You stupid woman. You think you can fight us? He raised his hand to slap me. I squeezed my eyes shut, waiting for the pain. I prayed for a miracle. I prayed for help. And then the ground shook. First, I thought it was an earthquake. The glass jars on the shelves started to rattle. The floor vibrated beneath my feet. But then came the sound. That low, thunderous growl. It started distant, then got louder and louder, until it roared like 1,000 lions screaming at once. Mr. Choi froze, his hands still raised in the air. What is that? I opened my eyes. Through the smashed front window I saw them. Motorcycles. Dozens of them. They swarmed the small street outside my bakery like a tide of black metal. These weren't delivery scooters. These were monsters. Heavy, expensive custom choppers. And at the front of the pack was a bike I would recognize in hell. A matte black beast with red rims. The engines cut off all at once, leaving a terrifying silence. The man on the lead bike kicked his stand down. He stood up, taking off his helmet slowly. Even from here, even through the fear and the 5 years of distance, my body reacted. My breath hitched. Kang-Dae. He looked different. Richer. His leather jacket wasn't patched anymore. It was tailored perfectly to his broad shoulders. His hair was styled back, revealing the dragon tattoo creeping up his neck. But his face was a mask of pure, unadulterated rage. He didn't look at me. He looked at Mr. Choi's hand gripping my wrist. Kang-Dae didn't say a word. He just walked toward the glass door. 2 massive bikers flanked him. He kicked the door open so hard the glass shattered completely this time. Mr. Choi dropped my wrist, stumbling back. Who are you? This is private business. Kang-Dae stepped over the broken glass, his heavy boots crunching on the floor. He walked right up to Choi, towering over him. The smell of leather, rain, and expensive cologne filled the small shop. It was the smell of my memories. You touched her, Kang-Dae said. His voice was terrifyingly calm. Low. Deep. You touched what belongs to me. I didn't know she was yours. Choi stammered, his face pale. She's just some foreigner who owes. Kang-Dae moved faster than I could track. 1 second he was standing there, the next his hand was wrapped around Choi's throat, lifting the man off the ground. She isn't a foreigner, Kang-Dae growled, his eyes burning. She is the queen. And you just signed your death warrant. He threw Choi through the front window onto the street. The other bikers were on him instantly. I didn't watch. I couldn't. I was frozen, pressing my back against the counter, staring at Kang-Dae. He turned slowly to face me. The rage vanished from his eyes, replaced by something else. Shock? Pain? Hunger? He took a step toward me. Zayla. The way he said my name, it broke me. It sounded like a prayer. Stay back, I whispered, holding the rolling pin up like a shield. Don't come near us. He stopped, looking hurt. Us. And that's when Leo, brave little Leo, stepped out from behind my legs. He stood in front of me, spreading his tiny arms to protect me. Leave my mommy alone, he yelled, glaring at the giant biker with the same fierce eyes. Kang-Dae froze. He looked at Leo. Then he looked at Luna, who was peeking out. her curly hair framing a face that was a mirror image of his own mother's. The silence in the bakery was heavy. Heavy with 5 years of secrets. Kang-Dae's eyes moved from the twins to me, and then back to the twins. His face went pale. He stumbled back a step, looking like someone had punched him in the gut. He whispered, his voice cracking. Zayla, who are they? I swallowed the lump in my throat. I wanted to lie. I wanted to say they were someone else's. But he wasn't stupid. They had his nose, his eyes, his chin. They're mine, I said fiercely, pulling them closer. Just mine. Kang-Dae dropped to his knees. Right there in the flour and broken glass. The billionaire biker king, the man who terrified Seoul, fell to his knees in front of a 4-year-old boy. He reached out a shaking hand toward Leo but didn't touch him. Tears, actual tears, welled up in his eyes. You! He choked out, looking at me with a look of absolute betrayal mixed with wonder. You hid them? For 5 years. You hid my children. You left me. I screamed, the anger finally exploding. You left me in the rain, Dae. You chose her. You chose Sohee. He looked up at me, confusion warring with the pain. Left you? Zayla, I did that to save you. My father, if he knew about you, he would have killed you. I had to make you leave to keep you alive. My heart stopped. What? I've been looking for you every day for 5 years, he said, his voice breaking. Every single day. Before I could process that, before I could ask if he was lying, the sound of screeching tires came from outside. A black SUV pulled up behind the row of motorcycles. The back door opened, and she stepped out. Sohee. She looked exactly the same as she did that night at the club. Beautiful. Expensive. Evil. She looked at the bakery, at Kang-Dae on his knees, and then her eyes landed on the twins. Her lips curled into a twisted smile. Well, she called out, her voice sharp like broken glass. I told your father you had a little secret, Kang-Dae. Looks like I was right. 2 little bastards to clean up. Kang-Dae stood up instantly. The sadness was gone. The monster was back. He stepped in front of me and the kids, his body becoming a human shield. He looked at his men. Kill anyone who comes near this door, he commanded. Protect my family. Protect my family. Those 3 words hung in the air like smoke. My heart hammered against my ribs. Family. He called us family. But I didn't have time to process the feeling of his back protecting us, because Sohee snapped her fingers. The doors of her SUV flew open and 6 men in tactical gear poured out. They weren't street thugs like Mr. Choi. These were professionals. Mercenaries. They held batons and tasers, and the look in their eyes was dead. Get them, Sohee screamed, pointing a manicured nail at my children. Get the bastards. Chaos exploded. It happened so fast my brain could barely keep up. Kang-Dae didn't wait for them to attack. He launched himself at the first mercenary. I watched, terrified and mesmerized, as the father of my children moved like a whirlwind. He ducked under a swinging baton, landed a bone-crushing punch to a man's ribs, and kicked another one backward into the street. His biker gang, the Black Dragons, roared into action behind him. The tiny bakery turned into a war zone. Flour bags exploded, creating a white fog. Tables were smashed. Zayla, go! Kang-Dae roared over the noise of fighting. He turned to his second in command, a massive guy with a scar across his nose. June, take the kids to the armored SUV. Now! No! I screamed, grabbing Leo and Luna. I'm not leaving them. June is the only one I trust with their lives. Kang-Dae yelled, grabbing my shoulders. His eyes were wild, desperate. Trust me, Zayla. Just this once. Please. I will die before I let them touch the hair on their heads. I looked at June. He nodded solemnly, picking up both terrified twins as if they were feathers. I got them, Queen. Go with the boss. I kissed Leo and Luna quickly. Go with the big man. Mommy is coming. I promise. As June ran out the back exit with my babies, a mercenary lunged at me with a knife. I screamed. But before the blade could touch me, a leather-clad arm blocked it. Kang-Dae twisted the man's arm until I heard a sickening crack. He shoved the man away and grabbed my hand. "We have to draw them away from the kids," he said, pulling me toward his bike. "So he wants us. If we run, she follows." "You want me to get on that thing?" I yelled, looking at the black monster of a motorcycle. "Ride or die, Zayla. Just like old times." I didn't think so. I swung my leg over the back of the Ducati. I wrapped my arms around his waist. The leather was warm. His scent, wood smoke and expensive cologne, filled my nose, and for a split second I wasn't a scared mother. I was 22 again, in love with a dangerous boy. Kang-Dae revved the engine. It sounded like a gunshot. We shot out of the broken storefront, jumping the curb onto the main road. "They're running!" So he shrieked from her car. "Forget the brats. Kill the parents." I looked back. Sohee's SUV and 2 other black cars were peeling out, chasing us. "Hold tight," Kang-Dae yelled. We hit the coastal highway doing 100 miles per hour. The wind tore at my hair. My tears dried instantly on my cheeks. This wasn't a ride, it was a death wish. The SUVs were fast. They were gaining on us. One of the cars rammed the back tire of a fellow biker riding an escort. The biker went down, sliding across the asphalt in a shower of sparks. "No!" I screamed. "Don't look back," Kang-Dae shouted. He leaned low, weaving between traffic like a needle through fabric. We approached the bridge. A massive suspension bridge over the dark ocean. Suddenly, Sohee's car surged forward, pulling up right beside us. She rolled down the window. Her face was twisted with hatred. She swerved the heavy car toward us, trying to crush us against the guardrail. "Dae, watch out." Kang-Dae didn't flinch. He hit the brakes hard. The SUV swerved into empty space where we had just been, scraping sparks off the concrete barrier. Then he gunned the throttle, shooting past them on the other side. "She thinks she's hunting us," Kang-Dae shouted over the wind. "But I'm leading her into the trap." We took the next exit, swerving violently toward the old shipping docks. It was a maze of shipping containers and cranes. A dead end. "Where are you going?" I panicked, gripping him tighter. "There's no road here. Trust me." We skidded to a halt in the center of a clearing surrounded by towering red shipping containers. Kang-Dae killed the engine. Silence rushed back in, heavy and terrifying. The 3 SUVs screeched to a halt, blocking the exit. Sohee stepped out, looking triumphant. 12 armed men surrounded us. We were trapped. "End of the road, lovers," Sohee sneered, walking forward. She looked at Kang-Dae with disgust. "You threw away the Han Empire for this? For a bakery girl and some mixed blood mistakes." Kang-Dae got off the bike slowly. He didn't look scared. He looked bored. He helped me off, keeping me behind him. "You talk too much, Sohee," he said calmly, dusting off his jacket. "Kill him," Sohee ordered her men. "Make it slow." But before anyone could move, bright floodlights blinded us from the top of the shipping containers. Click-clack. The sound of 100 guns being cocked at once echoed through the docks. Sohee froze, shielding her eyes. On top of every shipping container, men in black leather stood up. But they weren't just bikers. There were men in suits too. Police snipers, prosecutors, and at the center, the chief of police himself. "What is this?" Sohee screamed, her voice trembling. Kang-Dae stepped forward, a cruel smile playing on his lips. "You thought I spent the last 5 years just riding bikes? I wasn't just building a club, Sohee. I was building a case." He pulled a folded document from his jacket pocket and threw it at her feet. "That's the transfer of ownership," Kang-Dae said, his voice cold as ice. "I bought the majority shares of my father's company this morning. I own it all. The Han Group, the shipping lines, and the politicians you bribed." "No." Sohee gasped, backing away. "Chairman Han will never let you. My father is currently being arrested for tax evasion and ordering a hit on a civilian." Kang-Dae cut her off. "And you? You're going down for attempted murder and kidnapping." "Arrest them," the police chief yelled from above. The mercenaries dropped their weapons instantly. It was over. Sohee fell to her knees, screaming as handcuffs were slapped on her wrists. She looked at me one last time, hate burning in her eyes, before she was dragged away into a police cruiser. I stood there shaking. The adrenaline was fading, leaving me weak. It was over. The threat was gone. I looked at Kang-Dae. He wasn't looking at the police or his empire. He was looking at me. He walked over, hesitating like he was afraid I would disappear if he touched me. "Are you hurt?" he asked, his voice rough. I shook my head. "Where are my children?" "Look," he pointed. The armored SUV rolled into the clearing. The door opened and June stepped out with Leo and Luna. They were holding lollipops, completely unharmed. "Mommy!" They ran to me. I fell to my knees, burying my face in their necks, sobbing uncontrollably. They were safe. They were really safe. I felt a shadow over me. I looked up. Kang-Dae was watching us, tears streaming silently down his face. He looked so lonely, so broken. "Thank you," I whispered. He flinched. "Don't thank me. I caused this. If I hadn't been weak 5 years ago, if I had just fought for you then, why didn't you?" I asked, standing up. I needed to know. "Why did you look at me like you hated me that night?" Kang-Dae took a deep breath. He reached into his jacket, close to his heart, and pulled out a worn, crumpled photograph. It was the one I had thrown away. The one of us cooking together. "My father told me he knew about you," he said, his voice trembling. "He showed me photos of you walking to class. He said if I didn't marry Sohee and cut ties with you, he would have you deported. Or worse. He threatened to have an accident happen to you." Tears blurred my vision. "So you broke my heart to save my life?" "I had to make you hate me," he whispered. "If you hated me, you would leave. You would be safe. I thought I could fix everything in a few months and come find you. But you vanished. I searched every city. I hired private investigators. I thought I lost you forever." He dropped to his knees again, grabbing my hands. The mighty Biker King begging. "I have company now. I have the power. No one can touch us ever again. I built this empire for us, Zayla. Please. I know I don't deserve it. I know I missed their first steps. I missed everything. But let me spend the rest of my life making it up to you. Let me be their father." I looked at him. I looked at the man who had torn my world apart, only to burn down the whole world to put it back together. I looked down at Leo and Luna. They were looking at him with curiosity. Leo stepped forward and poked Kang-Dae's leather jacket. "Are you the Biker King?" Leo asked. Kang-Dae laughed, a wet, choked sound. "No, little man. I'm just your dad." I felt the wall I had built around my heart for 5 years finally crumble. I reached out and wiped a tear from his cheek. "You have a lot of diapers to change to make up for this," I said softly. His head snapped up. Hope, bright and blinding, filled his eyes. "Does that mean?" "It means you can drive us home," I smiled. "But not on the bike. We take the SUV. If you are crying right now, you are not alone. Smash that like button if you believe in second chances. And don't go anywhere because the ending gets even better." The sun was setting over the Han River penthouse. It was a far cry from my little bakery, but it smelled the same, like vanilla and jollof rice. I stood on the balcony watching the city lights flicker on. A pair of strong arms wrapped around my waist from behind. Kang-Dae rested his chin on my shoulder. He wasn't wearing leather today. He was wearing a soft sweater, looking relaxed, happy. "Kids asleep?" I asked, leaning back into him. "Finally," he chuckled. "Leo wants a bike for his birthday. I told him he has to wait until he's 30. 35, I corrected. "Deal," he kissed my neck. He spun me around. "Happy anniversary, Queen." "It's not our anniversary," I laughed. "It's the anniversary of the day I found you again," he said seriously. "The best day of my life." He pulled a small velvet box from his pocket. But it wasn't a ring. It was a key. A key with a black dragon keychain. "What is this?" "I sold the penthouse," he smiled. "And I bought that big house in Jinhee. The one near your old bakery. You said you missed the ocean. So we're going back. No more CEO life. I'm handing the company to a board of directors. I just want to be a husband. And a baker's assistant." I stared at him. He was giving up billions again. But this time not for fear. For love. You're crazy, I whispered, kissing him. Crazy about you, he murmured against my lips. We stood there, the Afro-Korean baker and the former biker king, watching the Seoul skyline one last time. We had walked through fire, rain, and time to find each other. And as his arms tightened around me, I knew one thing for sure. We weren't just survivors. We were a family. And nothing would ever tear us apart again. If you loved Zayla and Kang-Dae's story, you have to watch this next video about a mafia boss who falls for his daughter's nanny. Click here to watch. And don't forget to subscribe for more love stories every week.